A guy has built a pile of engines over the years in a Vice Grip garage, but it's actually been a while, so I think it's time for a refresher. This is a guy's new to me 2007 LBZ Duramax truck, nicknamed Black.
The insane life of Derek Bieri is changing in ways no one expected. The secrets hidden inside his Tennessee garage and his suspicious decision to leave television are stirring up the vintage car community. Millions of followers are asking themselves, what is really happening with this man? Is there something he's hiding behind that calm smile? Get ready, because in this video, you will hear every truth that has never been revealed. We have uneven wear here and on the middle of this shoe. And that's the crazy shape we had going on with that puppy right there. Going to assume that the cam bearings in this are just perfect. And they probably are. And that will save us a tremendous amount. Derek Bieri was born in 1984 in Minot, North Dakota. The small town sits in the middle of cold farmland where winter can last more than half the year. In that environment, he grew up surrounded by the sound of tractor engines and the smell of oil that filled the family's daily life. As a teenager, Derek was used to waking up early to check the engine before going to school. Every morning, he inspected the spark plugs, adjusted the carburetor, and replaced ignition wires. If the machine had trouble starting, the freezing cold meant that even the smallest mistake could stop an entire day's work. So, every action had to be precise and quick. Derek Bieri once said that taking apart and rebuilding engines became a natural joy. He memorized every sound an engine could make, recognizing problems just from a sputter. While other boys his age were playing sports, Derek stayed in the small garage taking notes on how his father repaired fuel pumps or cleaned carburetors. The Bieri family reused everything until it could no longer be fixed. He grew up with the habit of making do, patching things together, and learning that value came not from something new, but from keeping it running. His father's rule was, if it still works, fix it. Don't throw it away. That became the foundation for his later philosophy of saving abandoned cars. In the early 2000s, when he was in his early 20s, Derek began buying old cars from around the area. According to him, restoring them was both a way to learn and to earn some extra income. He still remembers his first sedan, an engine dead, rust-covered car abandoned in a field for years. After 2 weeks of working on it by himself, he brought it back to life. Derek said there's no feeling like reviving something everyone else thought was junk. From then on, buying, repairing, and selling cars became routine. Old family records show that since 2005, Derek Bieri and his relatives have restored more than 1,000 cars. That number reflects an unbroken passion, but also the way he built his practical skills without any formal training. Alongside car restoration, Derek once tried moving into business management. He worked in the transportation and logistics industry, where everything followed schedules and deadlines. At a classic car event, he admitted, I was sitting in the office, but my mind was only on the cars waiting out there. That moment made him realize passion could not be replaced. A stable job brought income but took away the joy he once had on the farm. Derek left the office and returned to his familiar tools. The decision was not easy, but he believed that only in the garage could he truly feel the meaning of time. In 2008, Derek Bieri married Jessica Bieri. Their marriage became a vital foundation for the journey ahead. Jessica was not only his life partner, but also the person who organized all future operations of Vice Grip Garage. While Derek focused on restoring cars, Jessica managed filming schedules, orders, and bookkeeping. Everything gradually took shape as a family-run business. Derek once said, "Without Jessica, I'd just be a garage guy surrounded by unfinished cars." Their teamwork laid the groundwork for the next big step. From the frozen fields where it all began, Derek carried the skills learned from his grandfather into a new era. This time he was no longer standing in the small family garage, but facing the digital world. And that was where Vice Grip Garage was born. The birth of Vice Grip Garage. The Vice Grip Garage channel first appeared on the platform at the end of 2007. At that time, Derek Bieri saw it only as a place to store a few short clips of his car restoration projects at home. The videos were blurry, shot with an old camera, barely edited and then left forgotten for nearly a decade. During that period, Derek was still working full-time in business and had no thought of becoming a content creator. He viewed YouTube as a kind of storage drive, a place to keep records of his hobby projects and share them with friends who shared the same passion. Only later did he understand the power of the platform's reach. By 2018, Derek Bieri returned to the channel with a clearer vision. He began uploading videos regularly, developing a consistent format, finding abandoned cars, trying to start them on site, fixing the basic issues, and then driving them hundreds of kilometers back to his garage. His storytelling was simple, self-filmed, without complex background music. Surprisingly effective. Derek described his philosophy as saving the forgotten. He chose neglected cars rather than rare ones. In the early videos, viewers saw him struggling with seized engines, rotten fuel lines, or rusted brakes. That persistence made his content feel more like a survival documentary than a technical performance. One of the first clips to reach millions of views showed Derek reviving a 1970s American car buried in a barn for over 20 years. He drove it home using the original engine, accepting all risks along the way. The raw footage, calm narration, and successful ending drew hundreds of thousands of followers. Derek Bieri once spent months on a Chevy Monza, a forgotten sports model. The car lacked many parts, had decayed wiring, and tires as hard as wood. He patiently restored it, documenting the entire process with a fixed camera, almost without any cuts. That simplicity made viewers trust him and want to see more. By late 2019, Vice Grip Garage began to grow rapidly. The barn rescue videos attracted both classic car enthusiasts and people who knew little about mechanics. Articles in Automotive circles called Derek the Mechanic Storyteller a rare figure in the digital age. Derek Bieri realized his passion could become a full-time career. When viewership reached millions, advertising revenue and merchandise sales became Stable. He left the office environment and chose to dedicate all his time to the garage. During a fan event, Derek said, "I chose the garage over the office because that's where I belong." That decision marked a major turning point. He was no longer just a mechanic, but also a creator, producer, and storyteller. Even with a packed schedule, Derek continued filming with a single camera, natural lighting, and no film crew that kept the authenticity his audience loved. From mid-2020, Jessica Bieri began appearing more frequently behind the scenes. According to the brand's official page, Jessica handled operations, scheduling, order management, and partner communication. Derek focused on producing content while Jessica managed organization and commerce, creating a more stable structure. Viewers gradually realized Vice Grip Garage was not just a personal channel, but a small family business. They sold shirts, hats, and memorabilia with the VGG logo, hosted fan meetups, and expanded partnerships within the auto parts industry. The connection between real life and content became a key part of their appeal. As millions of views poured in, Derek understood that the Minnesota garage could no longer contain it all. A new scale, a new environment, and opportunities beyond YouTube awaited. The move to Tennessee marked the moment he stepped out of his comfort zone and opened the door to television. The jump to television. After several years working in Minnesota, Derek Bieri began to recognize his own limitations. The long, harsh winters meant he could only work a few months each year. In one video, Derek said, "Frankly, the cold weather means I can only work for a few months each year." That statement marked the beginning of a decision that would change his entire life. Beyond the weather, the rising cost of running operations in Minnesota became a problem. Taxes, workshops, and materials all grew more expensive, making it harder to maintain the channel. Derek explained to his audience that Tennessee offered lower living costs, easier transportation, and better filming conditions. He added, "In Tennessee, everything just fits better for a small business." Derek Bieri, along with his wife and children, moved to Tennessee. The new property was spacious with enough room for dozens of cars waiting to be restored. From the snowy landscapes of the north, viewers now saw Derek filming among rolling green hills, bright sun, and year-round warmth. The move to a new state helped Derek expand his perspective. He was no longer confined to a small garage, but began aiming for larger projects, partnering with parts brands, oil companies, and classic car events nationwide. Everything seemed ready for a new phase in his career. In 2022, Derek Bieri made a surprising appearance on television with the show Roadworthy Rescues. Produced by Motor Trend, the series built upon the style of Vice Grip Garage. Derek served as the main host, traveling across America to find old cars, restore them, and get them running again on the road. The show retained the familiar saving forgotten cars spirit, but received professional investment in visuals and runtime. According to the production team, Derek was chosen for his authenticity, clear explanations, and natural storytelling style. The same qualities that made him famous on YouTube now became his strengths on Television. The success of Roadworthy Rescues introduced Derek to a wider audience. People who had never used YouTube started recognizing him through cable TV. Classic car communities began talking about the mechanic from the internet, a new figure for the digital era, skilled in both craft and storytelling. At the same time, Derek continued uploading regularly to Vice Grip Garage. The packed schedule began to exhaust him. In an interview, he admitted that working on both platforms was more tiring than fixing a broken car on the highway. He had to travel constantly between states, manage post-production, and oversee every detail to stay on track. The pressure from both sides forced him to reorganize his work. Family members were assigned clearer roles. When the first season of Roadworthy Rescues ended, several cars featured in the show were auctioned off. According to a source in the car community, Derek bought back many of them to continue their stories on YouTube. Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more updates just like this.